Hello and welcome to this tutorial on After Effects. I'm Luisa Winters. Today I would like to talk about keyframing. So we've talked about keyframing already, but I want to go a little bit more in depth. I want to talk about interpolation. More precisely, I'm going to talk about temporal and spatial interpolation. In fact, we're going to start with spatial. So last time we left it where we had position, scale, and rotation keyframed, and all of the changes were happening at the same time. I'm going to make sure that I delete the keyframes for scale and rotation, and I just want 2 keyframes for position just to illustrate a point. So here we go. I'm going to click on the stopwatch for scale, and that's going to get rid of all of the keyframes for scale. First, I want to make sure that my properties are not selected. So for that, I click on the gray, and now I can click on the stopwatch for scale. Those keyframes disappear because you see, the stopwatch is simply saying that changes in time are possible. So when you click on the stopwatch, it opens up, and then when you click on it again, it closes up. So if you're closing the stopwatch, all of the keyframes get deleted. And that's exactly what I did now. I'm going to delete the ones for rotation. So there you go, they go bye-bye. And now I'm going to delete 2 of the keyframes for position, and there you go. So I just selected them, pressed delete, and voila. So now I have to make some global changes. So rotation is at 32 degrees. I don't want that. I'm going to right-click and reset. There you go. This is a global change because I am changing something but not keyframing it. And for scale, I'm going to change this to a 20. And now I'm going back to what I had in a previous movie, which were my settings to start with. Global change of scale and only position is keyframed. Interpolation in After Effects is divided into major types. Spatial interpolation, which refers to changes in space. So that's X and Y coordinates. So in After Effects, X is side to side and Y is up and down, and they are measured in pixels. And coordinates 0, 0. So 0 for X and 0 for Y are top left. And the reason for that is because Adobe started like a printing company, and that's how you measure things in print, from the top left, because that's how we write. So 0, 0 is top left. Now, other properties are measured in other ways. So for example, rotation is measured in degrees, scale is measured in percentages, etc., etc. But we're talking about position now, and things are measured in pixel coordinates, X and Y measured in pixels. So anything to do with that, measuring in pixels, has to do with spatial interpolation. And don't forget that in After Effects, we also have Z. So it's not just X side to side, Y up and down, but Z as in further and closer to the camera. So right now we're dealing only with X and Y. So spatial interpolation. There are 2 types of spatial interpolation. Linear, we're going from point A to point B in a straight line. And Bezier, we're going from point A to point B, not in a straight line. So how does that work? Well, let me go ahead and make sure that we see this path perfectly well. See the path going from point A to point B? I already showed you that it was made of dots and that these dots represented frames or moments in time. Well, one of these dots doesn't look like the others. One of these dots is a handle, and this handle is actually giving us the Bezier curve, so that now the motion that we are using to go from point A to point B is not a straight line. So straight line motion, linear. Non-straight, Bezier. And that's spelled B-E-Z-I-E-R. That's Mr. Bezier, who invented these for our usage. So if I move the playhead, you're going to see another handle here. And I want you to notice that, again, I only have 2 keyframes, but yet I'm moving from point A to point B, not in a straight line. And that's super important. So we have a linear motion and we have a Bezier motion. In addition to having linear and Bezier, we have other types. So the main ones are linear, Bezier. So straight line, non-straight line. But if it's not on a straight line, let me add one in the middle. Do you see how these handles, and let me move this out of the way so we can see this a little bit better. I have two handles on this keyframe. Let me click on it so you can see it. I have two handles. This one, the one from the keyframe to the right, is controlling this curve. From the keyframe to the left is controlling this curve here. And right now, if I move this one up, the other one goes down and vice versa. So they have an inverse relationship. They are in a relationship to each other, even if it's inverse. And this ensures that whatever curve is formed is smooth. That's known as continuous Bezier, continuous Bezier. So I can also change this from continuous Bezier to non-continuous Bezier by using the Convert Vertex tool. The Convert Vertex tool can be found if you click and hold on the pen tool in the Tools panel. So click and hold, and then go to this one here that looks like an upside down V, as in Victor. You can now click on one of these handles and you can move it. This breaks the relationship between the handles. So this is how it works. In addition to being able to control these from the comp panel, you can actually select all the keyframes. So I clicked on the word position. We can right-click one of them. We can go to Keyframe Interpolation, and that opens the Keyframe Interpolation panel. From here, you're going to see Temporal Interpolation and Spatial Interpolation, and you can click on the spatial one and you can say, hey, be linear. And because all of the keyframes are selected, all of the keyframes are now linear. So I'm going from point A to point B in a straight line, from point B to point C also in a straight line. But notice that there was another setting here. And this one is Auto Bezier. So notice that we have linear, we have Bezier, that's non-continuous Bezier, we have continuous Bezier, which is a relationship between the two curves, and then we have Auto Bezier. Auto Bezier simply means that you are not in control of the curve. After Effects is going to give you the curve automatically based on the relative position of the keyframes. And notice that these handles are not represented by the line. They are represented merely by the dot. The moment I start changing those handles, let me go ahead and change tools here, back to the selection tool. The moment I start adjusting those handles, they turn into continuous Bezier. By the way, the Command and Options key together, Command and Option, that's Alt and Control on Windows, will give you the upside down V, which is the Convert Vertex tool. And without having to actively change tools, I will be able to change the handle or the keyframe from linear to Bezier or from auto to continuous to non-continuous Bezier. And here's how it works. Linear, Auto Bezier. If I use it on the keyframe, linear, Auto Bezier, and from continuous Bezier to non-continuous Bezier, simply by pressing and holding Alt and Control, which are Option and Command on the Mac. All right, that's it for this tutorial. Please don't forget to hit like, hit subscribe, and thank you for watching. I'll see you next time.